Okay, guys, so I already recorded a video. About the director of Captain America Brave New World looking to come out and hopefully save the movie from itself, save Anthony Mackie from the statements that he was making a couple of weeks ago that really derailed any momentum the film had waiting upon its release. And the thing about it is that is a train that's on the tracks. There's nothing you can do about it. This, however, is something I feel like Disney could have done something about, but I don't think that they ever will. What you see right here is a poster that somebody posted on X. This was from an account called named Angry Vet. Now, as far as I can tell, the picture looks real, and I saw a lot of people talking about it, and there is historical precedent for this, but I just want to clarify, this is an X post. I didn't see a bunch of widespread coverage about it, but what we are talking about here is, of course, censorship in China. And what you see is, of course, this is supposed to be Sam, Falcon, Captain America, fighting Red Hulk. And as you know, in China, there is a long history of censoring art with black men in it. And it is something that has happened to Marvel and Disney over and over again. So I just want to point out that there is a reason why people tend to believe that something like this is real. And from what I can see, it does not look fake, but the poster says the post says in China they won't even show that he's black. Now the thing is there were a bunch of digital posters that did in fact show him, but the thing is digital posters are not the same thing as posters, in country on the ground, because they could make these and release them just to seem as if they are not doing anything, as if they're not trying to hide the fact that the character is black. And this is something that Disney has had to contend with for years. I just brought up a bunch of old stories. So if you remember these, you see this was Chadwick Boseman and Finn from Black Panther and The Force Awakens, respectively. As you can see in the Black Panther poster, they put his helmet on so that you could not see that the actor was black. And in the Force Awakens poster, they shrunk Finn down to get him out of one of the main frame shots from the poster. So there has been a long contention, a long discussion about what it means to be globalist entertainment, to release movies to other markets where cultural sensibilities are different. And it's funny too, because America seems to contend endlessly with this notion that the country, that America, is inherently racist, yet we are consistently exporting movies with amazing black actors that are then being censored in other countries. And I always wonder if that's one of those it should be the grass is always greener on the other side. Maybe that's how they're thinking about it. Maybe they don't realize that the rest of the world is not America, so it seems like you're in this awful fascist country, when what we really know is that America is in many ways the greatest country on earth and a land of opportunity, a place that you travel to grow economically, to find fame, to put your name out there. And we give opportunities as a country to people from all walks of life. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, but that's not always true in the rest of the world. So I just wanted to give you an example of some of the other instances. So it wasn't just Black Panther with Chadwick Boseman. It was not just The Force Awakens with Finn. If you remember, they swapped is not a word. They swapped out and they made the Ancient One Tilda Swinton in the first Doctor Strange movie at the behest of China. And then also in Doctor Strange 2, I still remember this one. It still comes to my mind all the time. There was backlash in China because during one of the scenes in Multiverse of Madness, there was a newsstand for the Epoch Times, which then caused an uproar in China because that news outlet is, of course, anti-Chinese communist propaganda. They are anti-Chinese government. So that was a really, really big undertaking, a really big discussion that was going on at that time. So there have been endless examples of these studios kowtowing to China because they want access to their box office. It's funny because, look, China has access to a gazillion people, right? But the problem is when you split the box office here in America, you're taking a 50-50 or sometimes 60-40 split with the theaters, which means for every $10 million that you make at the theaters, $5 million of that is coming back to you. It's one of the reasons why it is so difficult to make your production budget back on all of these big blockbuster films. But in China, because of the restrictions that the Chinese government puts on imported art like this, they only take home 25% of that box office. So I wonder why they even consider it worthwhile sometimes when they get this backlash from Americans for censoring their art, which they get the backlash because most of these companies, the likes of Disney, the likes of Marvel, they tend to do a lot of moral grandstanding on social justice terms, which makes people like us who find this stuff not just hypocritical, but unbelievably condescending to the audience when they speak down to us, when we understand that they will eventually bow to the will of China for the sake of the almighty dollar. How are we supposed to take you seriously when you will not stand by your own beliefs? There was this other example recently. Marvel bans the words Free Taiwan and Winnie the Pooh in Marvel Rivals, which of course, you can't say Winnie the Pooh there. You can't do that. That is very, very disrespectful. Makes me think of yesterday or 2 days ago, when they were burning Kermit the Frog dolls in the streets of Philadelphia. I imagine that at the Mahomes home, there will be no mention of Kermit the Frog there either. So I want to go through a couple of these other posts and then finish it up by doing a little bit of a look into the box office. Verbal Riot says Anthony Mackie is not Captain America. They also pointed out that is very clearly, it's not even just that it's a silhouette, that it's very clearly just, it looks like a white guy, they said. I laughed at that. This one from Alan Engon from Film Threat says Chinese are racist, particularly to anyone who's not Chinese. Planet Fanatics says, guess all that press time in China didn't matter. I may have my personal gripes with Brave New World and Mackie at times. However, none are bigoted. This is a quote from him. My father was told he had to drop out of school in 8th grade to pick cotton with my grandfather, and I'm Captain America. See, yeah, what he's referring to in the first quote was when Anthony Mackie was doing his press tour in China for this movie. One of the things Disney asks them to do is to downplay patriotic themes when they're doing press tours overseas. I think that's an unbelievably stupid road to take when it's a character like Captain America. And his quote, which I talked about in the other video, was how he doesn't think that that America should be part of what it represents, which is absolutely insane. And even if you don't take it to its logical conclusion and think that he was just kind of minimizing the effect of the character's name on a foreign audience, it doesn't play well with your Western market, which is where the majority of this money is going to come from for a movie like Captain America. How can you expect people to be behind it when you don't seem behind your own character? And my other gripe with that is a lot of times these actors, they get in the weeds about the flowery language and their descriptions of these characters. I don't think that is the best way to sell a movie. I don't think talking about Captain America's motivations and what he represents really sells a movie to the large audience. I think the themes of America will sell a Captain America movie to the audience. I think talking about the tech, the suit, the bad guys, that is really where your marketing cap is if you want to sell this movie to an audience. So by talking about those concepts like universal themes, you minimize or possibly hurt your ability to sell this movie as the fun, escapist blockbuster that it's actually supposed to be. So another one. So I just went through some of these people talking about it. Look, a lot of people had something to say about this. Lorena Creel says, at least China is overt in their bigotry. I'll take an upfront bigot over a covert one any day of the week that doesn't end in Y. WDW Pro says Disney is beyond reproach. It's the sarcasm. Yeah, there's a lot of people who have mentioned it. We're not going to talk about that one right there. Kaida says Marvel Studios doesn't care about black people. Stop letting them pander to you pretending that they do. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have said that. One of the things that's funny right now is there is this like land speed record going on with the way things are going here. They say the pendulum always swings back the other way twice as hard. And what's happening, guys, is like they just removed Black History Month and Pride Month from like the Google Calendar. And we have been saying for years that, look, these corporations, these Fortune 500 business, they do not care about you. None of what they are talking about in the terms of social justice is real or organic. It is absolutely manufactured from middle management in a way that is supposed to limit their risk by making them seem as palatable to the cause of the day as they can. And in lieu of that, when it's no longer fashionable, they will dump you as fast as they dumped the American values that they claim to champion in decades past. Now, it might not be all bad because the first day numbers came out for Captain America Brave New World for their Chinese pre-sales, and it was 346,000 first day ticket pre-sales, which is higher than the Batman and Deadpool and Wolverine. Look, I don't know. These places, they do funny business with their numbers. The interest in this movie doesn't seem to be all that potent. Certainly, the biggest conversation I've had with normies when I talked about going to this movie is they said they're making another Captain America movie. And when your film is really, really lacking in visibility with the normie audience, you are in an uphill battle, on top of the fact that the supposed $180 million budget just doesn't seem to be accurate to anyone that's been paying attention. If this movie costs as much as most of us assume that it did, given the amount of reshoots and the time it took to get this movie made, look, they brought in actors like midway through production and basically started from scratch on this project several times. There's a lot of money that needs to be made before this movie even screams, even sniffs profitability. So I don't know how easy it's going to be to get there, but one of the problems was they were already comparing its numbers to the numbers of, say, they were talking about its supposed projected opening weekend numbers and comparing it to Captain America Winter Soldier without acknowledging the fact that Captain America Winter Soldier came out in 2014, and with inflation, rising costs, $95 million in 2014 is not the same thing as $95 million opening this weekend when the movies cost as much to make as they do. I would be interested to know what you guys think about this. A lot of people have pointed these issues out with the way globalist media has to kowtow to these foreign countries that don't always share Western values, and whether you think that that's a good thing to begin with. Certainly, I have my critiques of all of it. I understand why they push for these releases in so many markets. The idea is to make as much money as possible. The problem is you're doing that. You're speaking out of one side of your mouth with your, with your large scale releases to all of these places. And in the other side of your mouth, you're talking about social justice causes in ways in which the West seems to be evil, and all of the ways in which we can change to make this country a better place, not ever acknowledging the fact that that doesn't matter to you as long as the market you're pushing it in has the money to give you. So let me know down below, guys. Are you even interested in going to see this movie? Like I said, I already did one video on this about the director's comments. Are you planning to see it? Do you care about Marvel at all these days? Certainly Deadpool and Wolverine hasn't exactly done enough. Like as successful as it was, $1 billion film, I don't know if one movie can make up for 2 phases of mediocre work in a bunch of Disney streaming services that nobody seems to resonate with. Let me know down below what you guys think. More videos coming soon. Later. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.